Hello and welcome to this week's show. Um, and this week I'm not going to be joined by Shadow, but I am joined by my other half. Joe, do you want to introduce yourself? Although I have just kind of done it for you.
Oh, yeah, yeah. This is weird. Uh, can't speak. Anyway, yeah.
Is
As,
this the?
as Tom said, yeah, I'm his other half, the one that has to put up with him.
Yes, yes, they do. So,
Nah, you're alright.
is this like the first live stream that you've ever took part in, where like it's been face to face?
I've been on a few, but
Fair enough. I've never done it where I've not been in control, so like to me that would feel really weird. So I can totally get if this feels a bit weird, especially when the main focus is disability and geeky stuff. Um, but I mean, it's not like you're not disabled. It's just you don't use a chair, same as me. So it's totally fine. You can be on here. You're allowed in.
yay.
So, do you want to give a brief description of what your disability is, or do you just want to not mention it past?
Yeah, okay, so essentially mine is neuromuscular, so it affects the central nervous system and muscle memory. Basically, I fall over a lot.
Well,
In layman's terms, but essentially it's also hereditary X-linked, so genetics.
in terms of the muscle memory stuff, that bit is similar to cerebral palsy. As for the rest of it, I don't really know much about apart from what you've told me over the years. So yeah,
Yeah, it's complicated, and I have one of the weirder versions of it as well, just to be different
of course,
because I'm special.
because why not?
Yeah, exactly. If you're gonna do it properly.
Okay, so one thing that has kind of become the norm that we talk about every single week um, is Malcolm in the Middle. I'm going through the show season by season, and what I'd normally do is I'd pick a few episodes for Shadow to watch, and then we could talk about them. I didn't do that with you because I just completely forgot to do that. But also, when I was watching it, I did watch the entire third series in one day, so it all kind of merged into one anyway. So I thought for this week I'd just kind of give a brief-ish overview um, of what I thought of season three. So with season three, well, going into season three, Francis emancipated himself, which I'm not 100% sure what that means, but um, you kind of get told what that means in the show um, going forward. Like, he's essentially legally an adult now. Um, that's kind of my
Yeah,
take from it.
it's a little more complicated than that, but essentially, emancipation means you legally are no longer. Basically, it means legally your parents are no longer your guardians, and you have say over your own essentially life. But it's called emancipation because obviously up until you're 16, 18, depending where you are,
Yeah.
your parents have basically power of attorney. They can do what they want. Obviously, it's in
Okay.
your best interest. But
Well,
yeah, you can normally it's in your best interest. But essentially, the emancipation sort of basically means that everything's handed over to you, or you can nominate someone else to do it for you.
okay. There is some debate as to whether Lewis has the best interests of her kids that runs throughout the entire run of the show, which really comes to a head with the final episode of, is it 7 seasons that they have? I'm pretty sure.
I think so. I
Uh,
lost track.
anyway, um, with him emancipating himself, which just sounds really, really like d- dangerous. Like it sounds like something you would do with a knife. But
Yeah,
anyway, um, with him doing that, it kind of opened up his storylines quite a bit because it didn't have to be tied in with the military school. And I
mm,
actually forgot that he was only in the military school for like 2 seasons. And with him no longer being in that environment, and it just changed to like a work and home kind of environment. It just felt more like real almost. I mean, as real as an over the top show like this can feel, you know? Um, and I just really liked that change because it's the first time it, it's felt like a really big change in, I guess, 3 years worth of the show. With me watching it as quickly as I am, it's all kind of merging into one. And one thing that I liked was with Dewey's storylines. I don't remember exactly where it is in the run of season 3, but he ends up looking after the class hamster or rat or something, and um, it ends up where he kind of sets it free by putting in a. I'm guessing it was a hamster because it was in a hamster ball, um, and he just like put a whole load of the food in with it, and then kind of set it free, and then at random points in episodes set after that story, um, you just kind of see the orange hamster ball just roll past like it's a running gag throughout, and I just thought
mm,
that was a really nice touch. And in fact, I don't think I've ever noticed that in any other time that I've watched it. So I think the only reason why I've noticed that is because I've watched it so many times, and this time with me watching it so close together, like um, watching the entire season in one day. Yeah, I think that definitely helped.
yeah, couldn't do that. I'd get bored after like 4 episodes.
Really? There's like
Yeah, I can't sit and watch a whole show in one day.
there's
Yep.
3 shows, well, sitcoms, I should say, where I could just stick it on and just kind of let it play through. I mean, obviously, I'd only be half watching it, but like the Big Bang Theory, Malcolm in the
I,
Middle, and the Golden Girls are all
see,
ones.
Yeah, I could put The Big Bang Theory on, but I say there's not really one. After about 4 or 5 episodes of Matt actually watching it,
Mm.
I'd get bored. If it's on in the background, it can play for hours.
Yeah, I think with me watching the entire series in one day, I was definitely like doing other stuff, but it was like all on my phone, so it was like I was still taking in the plot, but like I
Mm.
wasn't purposely picking out key bits to talk about. Um, there wasn't really anything uh, with Malcolm or Reese that really stood out to me in season three. The only thing that did kind of stand out to me is how downplayed the um, disability stuff is from season three. Because in seasons one and two, um, Stevie, who's Malcolm's like best friend, kind of, um, with him being in a wheelchair, and you get the whole um, thing of how his parents kind of um, wrap him in cotton wool kind of thing. I mean, not literally, but um, yeah, like
I don't know. That
they,
show could do it.
yeah, like they really go down that route of being like over the top though, but like it's really downplayed compared to in seasons one and two, and I wonder if that was because of complaints that were put in at the time, or if it was just like they wanted to focus more on other things, because um, with the one big change being Francis not being at the military school anymore, I think that really opened up what kind of stories they could tell, you know. And each episode, there's always a A plot, a B plot, and sometimes a very weak C plot. And most of the time, his stuff was the C plot, where in season three, it felt like he was very much more of the focus. Even though I think the entire show is supposed to be from Malcolm's point of view.
Yeah, from what I remember of it, I haven't not watched most of it in ages. And from sounds like it's got to the point where they sort of changed the direction of the show. Because I know at one point it was obviously supposed to be from Malcolm's perspective, and it still sort of is. But I think one of the running themes is that it sort of moves away from him and sort of sees what basically the same sort of life from a different angle.
Yeah,
They got good at that.
I think they definitely done that from season three. But I do like that every now and then Malcolm does kind of break the fourth wall and talk to the audience. That's always something that I've really
They
liked.
were one of the shows that started doing that, and it works in this situation.
Definitely. Um, have you ever watched The Middle?
Yes, I've seen most of the first two series, just
You've
because it was always on.
you've seen more than me, and I've seen like the odd random episode, and I don't know what seasons they're from. But would you say that that one is like a carbon copy of Malcolm in the Middle?
Mm, I wouldn't say it's a carbon copy. It's definitely inspired, and obviously they got one of the actresses that's in both.
Really? I did not know
Yeah,
that.
did you not realise the mum is the same in both?
I don't think it is.
Look it up.
I am definitely going to have to look that up. She definitely
So what? I
doesn't
might do it
sound.
now. Well, yeah, I might do it now. I swear it is.
She definitely doesn't sound the same. Like when she's in the Big Bang Theory as the um, therapist that Leonard sees, she sounds just like Lois. Are you sure that it's the same actress? Because she really
I'm
doesn't
pretty
sound
sure
like
it
her.
is. I will find out.
That'd be so cool if it actually was. So while you're doing that, um, a few days ago I done a live stream where I played Tekken 4 on live stream, and I'm still um, needing to get back to doing that to get the last character. Um, have you played the Tekken games, like all of them?
I've not played all of them. I've played. I know I've played the first four at least.
I wasn't a fan of the first one, but I did come to that one much later. Tekken 2 was like the first game for the PlayStation that I can remember pl- playing, so that
Yeah.
kind of has a soft spot.
Oh, right. It's not. It's not. It's not the same person, but they are
I didn't think it was.
semi-related. They're connected somehow. I just can't find out, but they are. Uh, anyway, doesn't matter.
Maybe it's like um in Young Sheldon where um the actress who plays Mary in the Big Bang Theory, it was her daughter. It might be that kind of scenario because they do kind of look alike, but she definitely doesn't sound like her.
Yeah, that's what it was. There's definitely a link between the two. I just can't remember what it was because I think everyone thought it was the same person for a while. So I must have still been remembering that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
when I first seen it, um, I did think like they were just trying to do a carbon copy of Malcolm in the Middle
yeah,
because the mum looked so much like the mum from that, and um, the the guy that plays the dad in that I know is the janitor in Scrubs. It's the
yeah,
only
Neil
other
Flynn.
that's the only other thing that I've seen him in. Uh, as for the like kid casts, they were all kind of like ones that I've never heard of before or since. Because as far as I know, the show's not making new episodes now.
Yeah,
I mean, I could be wrong. Having any
uh,
luck there?
that's that's how. Okay, yeah. What it looks like is the actress that was, yeah, was the mum was in a couple of episodes of The Middle.
Ah, okay. I know Betty White was in it at one point, like in like the early seasons. She was the librarian, and I've seen those scenes because it was on YouTube, but I've never actually sat down and watched the show like right through. Uh, more so because I've not seen it streaming anywhere, or like if you can buy it on DVD or you know anything like that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Neil Flynn's apparently done a lot more than just the two.
So when I was doing the Tekken 4 live stream, I was using a emulator. Um, I used the one that you recommended, um, which was PC SX2, I think.
Mm, I think so. It's the one I use. It's all right.
It's the only one I've ever heard of, to be honest.
Mm,
But like, how good of a emulator do you think that it is? Because for me, it's been pretty good.
it's well, it's the most. There are others out there, but it's the one that people say once it's set up, it's pretty stable.
Cool. Yeah, because when I first tried to do the Tekken one, I had this weird grid on the on the screen, and I didn't know how to put it right. So I took a screenshot of it and stuck it on Twitter, and somebody kind of walked me through what I needed to put right. And when I finally figured out what they meant, and I done it, it's all been fine since. But that's only with Tekken 4. I've not tried it with like any other games. I I was thinking of playing Crash Nitro Kart next
Mm,
because I've done Crash Team Racing and beat the like last boss on that once. And I know you're supposed to beat them twice, but that's not gonna happen because you have to get the relics to get to them the second time, and I just had no interest because it's just having you go through the same bunch of tracks again. It's just to prolong the gameplay by that point.
yeah.
In terms of story, it's all done.
I like the new. Well, I say new. The Crash Team Racing one that came out on the newer consoles. That's quite good.
Yeah, which and annoyingly, they also had Nitro in the name of that. Crash Team Racing Nitro Fuel,
Yeah,
just to be confusing.
yeah.
With the
It's all good.
with their PlayStation 2 um, Nitro Kart one though, the graphics looked pretty good for the time, but
Oh
the,
yeah.
the
As a console, actually, the PS2 was ahead of its time with how it looked.
the controls for that game they just feel kind of off.
Yeah, it's one of those. It took a while for controller schemes to really fit because obviously when the PS2, PS1, PS2, and stuff like that was sort of coming out,
Yeah.
you were still obviously had weird. Basically, people were just doing their own control schemes. There wasn't really any competition. When everything sort of when gaming really took off, you're like, right, we want to kind of want it as standardized as possible so you can pick up and play.
So with Crash Team Racing though, it feels pretty standard. The only odd thing is you have to use the D pad instead of an analog stick. With Crash Nitro Kart, it doesn't seem to matter which you use. You still don't have as much. Well, it feels like you don't have as much grip with the tires as you do in Crash Team Racing, which is odd to me.
Mm, I don't know. It's right. It's one of those things. Like, obviously, when I said it wasn't standardized, it's sort of one of these weird. That's more. I think to the gameplay where they were playing with essentially the PS2 was quite a console, so they could do a lot more.
Hmm.
But maybe they were just trying stuff.
Maybe I know Nitro Kart wasn't um, done by Naughty Dog. I think it was sold off by that point.
Yeah, someone probably brought the license.
I won't know which until I actually play it. Not that it really
Yeah,
matters too much.
yeah, yeah. I need to play more retro games.
It would be cool if we could do it on a live stream, like if I just fired up the PS2 emulator and like stuck on like one of the Tekken games, and like we could do like a net play, which I'm pretty sure that it has. I'm not 100% sure because I've not looked
Yeah,
into all
we,
of the things, but
we need to look into it.
yeah,
I don't know how. I'm not sure if it does. Would surprise me if it didn't, because you can. The PS2's netcode wasn't that hidden away.
yeah, I can remember one of the Mortal Kombat games, like the biggest thing on the box for that was the fact that it had net play, which of course when that was the current system, we didn't have broadband, so there was no way for me to take advantage of that. But now,
Yeah,
um, I probably could if it was in the emulator, like purely just because it's
it's something. And if they managed to get the PS2's netcode and put it into the emulator,
yeah.
it should be possible.
See, I could be getting mixed up though, because at the same time of me setting up the PS2 emulator, I was also setting up DuckStation, which is the PlayStation 1 emulator, which is so much more um, stable than PCSXE. I think it was that I was using. I mean, it played the games fine. It was just when you quit the game, it kind of froze, and yeah, it was odd.
Mm.
So, um, one thing that I do want to bring into the show, going forward is like if either of us have bought anything recently that we want to show off, like just kind of like a pickups kind of thing, and just kind of show the stuff to the camera. So do you
Mm.
have anything that you would want to show off that you've just bought recently?
And not really brought much recently. No.
Fair enough.
All of my stuff's sort of all over the place.
Yeah, I probably should have mentioned this before going live, um, but
Yeah.
it's just dawned on me now. Yeah, so um, with me, I can't grab the stuff just because it's too difficult for me to like get up and grab the stuff. But I have posted some of the stuff on my Instagram if you want to go and check that out. I
I'm a fursuit man.
cool random. Yeah. So, um,
Uh,
on my
mm,
Instagram, I've um just posted a bunch of banned books, which I am really looking forward to re- reading. One of them was Huckleberry Finn, um, which was banned like as soon as it was released. Apparently, it was banned at the time because it was considered to not paint the best picture of um, those kind of people. I mean, I haven't read the book, so I don't really know what
that's
they
that's
meant
an
by it.
understatement. It's a well known story. I know the well I know the gist of it,
I
mostly
know
from
the
a
gist
Simpsons
of it
episode.
purely because of the Simpsons. Not gonna lie
Yeah,
about that. But
and that's sort of the funny version. The From what I know, the real version is a lot more. Um, yeah,
well, from what I've read about it, it just sounds like a fun adventure that was intended for kids. Um, but because of when it was written, it was racist as all hell, which of course won't have dated it well. But if it was banned
yeah,
at at the time, I'm pretty sure the racism won't have been a factor. That'll have come much later.
yeah. I think from what I know of the actual story, I think like you said, kind of paints in a weird picture of where if you don't agree to their morals, you're gonna get shot and killed.
Interesting, because um the other book that I got um was banned by the Muslim community, and to the point where the author of this book, I forget what they called this in the Muslim community, but essentially any Muslim that sees this author has a right in the eyes of the religion to kill the author because of how much they don't like this book. And it was the satanic verses. I
Yeah,
can't
I don't
remember
know
the.
what it's all, but it's probably something deep set. Just probably has a name. No one really. I don't do religion, so I couldn't tell you.
Well, I can tell you the gist of it because um, the author, who I can't remember the name of right now, but it's on my Instagram if you really want to go and see. Um, they depicted Mohammed, which I know is a big no-no in that
Mm.
religion. Like nobody's supposed to do that. Like you're not supposed to know what he or she or it looks like. So I kind of get that, but that's kind of an extreme um, reaction to that. Like I just
Yeah,
can't get my
in a
head
way.
around trying to kill somebody because of them depicting something that you don't agree with. That's like nuts
Yeah,
to
I don't
me.
know. Religion's weird.
It it definitely is. So to me, it's just a case of read any banned books that you can grab your hands on and um, decide for yourself whether you think it should be banned or just don't read it. Like, there's nobody forcing you to read certain things, but banning something makes me want to know what what are they trying to hide.
Yeah, probably not a lot. People ban things for weird reasons.
Yeah, I mean, I know Harry Potter was on the um, ban list, like almost as soon as it was released, like even just the first one, and it was because it had depictions of witchcraft. That's
Yep.
nuts.
Yeah, some cultures still believe that.
I mean, it's probably on the book ban list now for a whole load of other reasons, but let's not go into that.
No. Although the books themselves weren't implicitly her view, but
Well,
They're not exactly un. People people are trying to separate the books from her, and it's possible, but no.
it is apart from one thing for me. Um, the way that she depicts Jewish people, essentially the um, goblins which work in the bank, those are her Jewish characters,
Yeah,
which isn't the best because it like perpetuates the stereotype, and yeah, it's just not a good, like, it's like she's calling Jewish people um like the goblins aren't the best characters, so it doesn't bode well. Like, it reads as if it's her view on the Jewish community. Not being Jewish myself, I can't really comment beyond that. But
yeah. Well, she wouldn't be the first to do it.
that doesn't surprise me, but doesn't make it right.
I'm not saying it is, but it was obviously wasn't brought up at the time, but everything is now
Yep.
because of everything else that's
hmm
happened. Not just her, but in general the world.
I mean, one thing that um we had no idea of when the books were first being released was that um, Dumbledore would be a gay character, because when you read those books, it's not very clear that he's supposed to be.
It's not because she tried to retroactively add it.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So
He was never he was never designed to be gay. He just was designed to not really participate in feeling things.
okay. So she had a peculiar character, and she decided at some point to make him gay. For what reason? I guess it must have been when stuff was starting to come out about how bad of a person she is, to kind of
No,
hush them up.
I think she sort of went with it because he was always written to be quite peculiar like that anyway. And then someone I think came was sort of thinking like, well, why did you write it like this? Did you think it was right? And she went, well, she kind of interacted with it, went, yeah, blah 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 blah. He's gay, blah blah blah, and then wrote his backstory to be that.
Fair enough. Okay, so round about book four, then it sounds like she'll have done this,
Mm.
just because that's where the books start to get stupidly big.
Yeah, see, I like the books, but what annoyed with it going out, obviously when the films took over, they just didn't do the books justice.
Yeah, well, to do them right, you would have to split book four into two, book three into about three parts.
No, the only one I think they should have split that they didn't was book four. It's Goblet of Fire. So
But
my
the
brain
odd
works.
the order of the Phoenix is like even bigger still. So
Yeah, see, the Order of the Phoenix, they wouldn't need to split into a film. They should have made the film longer because they cut out a lot of what makes the Order of the Phoenix the Order of the Phoenix,
mm,
which is also why then going forward for the books, you're a bit like, and then watching the film, you're like, well, I know what they are from the book, but if no one's read the book but has watched the films, they're still like, oh, they're this thing, but they're not actually that thing.
when I was
I like that I do like that they did split the last one. Now they didn't do it for the real reasons. They did it because they wanted to make money, but
mm-hmm,
it worked.
but yeah. So with the Order of the Phoenix, the only thing from reading the book that I can remember that wasn't in the movie at all is you got more stuff with Gilderoy Lockhart, who was still recovering from when the spell backfired on him.
Yeah, but that's when the book sort of set up the whole, like I said, backstory, like what the Order of the Phoenix it really is. Whereas the film sort of glossed over it and went, well, it's for this thing, so that going forward you think it's just for that thing, and it fit the plot better.
Mm. So, do you think um, Dumbledore being gay was an invention of the movies that she just ran with and put it into the books, or was it
And
like a big joint
I
thing?
I wouldn't say I wouldn't think it was a joint thing. I think, like I said, she just wrote Dumbledore to be a weirdo, essentially in her
Mm.
eyes. Not not quite the right wording, but since he was eccentric, he was who he is,
Yeah,
and then people were like, well, this is sort of, are you writing this to look like he's gay and blah blah? And she went, oh yeah, I suppose that does fit, and then decided to go with it.
very strange.
Yes, but
Well, I don't really have much else I could talk about. Um, well, not without having watched the things. I mean, I've kind of hinted at um, Golden Girls, but there's not a particular episode that I could talk about in depth. It's just a really fun show, um, and
mm,
I do kind of find it funny that the cast of that show when that went out is the same age in that as the cast of whatever they're calling the Sex and the City kind of. Would it count as a reboot?
I don't know if it would count as a reboot because they're not doing the original stories again.
Okay, I wouldn't know. I haven't actually watched it, but
Uh, Essentially, a reboot sort of implies that they're rebooting it, but they're still in sort of the same universe of they're still the age and characteristics of what they were previously. From
okay,
what I know of the Second City, because I do not watch it and I refuse to watch it, because it bores me to hell. The whole 10 minutes I've seen of it. This is sort of an extension of it with different characters, essentially, because they're all coming back. They're all older,
Yeah.
stuff
Well,
like that.
they're not all coming back because I know Kim Cattrall hates um what's their face? Um oh god, her name's gone out of my head. She played Sarah in Hocus Pocus.
Pass.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm bad with actors' names.
um, I would normally refer to her as Horse Teeth because that's like,
Fitting.
yeah, it's like the one characteristic of her that sticks in my mind. I can't think of the actress though, but yeah, Kim Cattrall doesn't like her, and she's like the main character in Sex and the City. Um, but yeah, they're kind of continuing on um, under a slightly different name without Kim Cattrall's character. But the cast of that is the same age as the cast of Golden Girls when that was out. And if you saw an image of them side by side, you would think like they were nowhere near the same age.
Mm, yeah, they're trying to reboot or extend a load of shows. None of them really work very well though when they try.
Yeah, I mean, with Friends, for example, they tried to get a spin off going with Dewey, um, and that didn't
Yeah,
work.
I didn't mind it. It just wasn't really what it as throwing the spin off should have been.
Well, I know they were originally wanting to have a spin off with Chandler and Monica, but the actors didn't want to do it. So they just kind of went down the list of which ones can we make more shows from, and
Yeah, like
he was the
Joey could have been good. They just didn't do it right.
I haven't actually seen a single episode of it. I just know it absolutely flopped because we only got like one season.
It was one or two. I think it was supposed to be two, but then I think it was supposed to be two long seasons, and then they only managed to get one sort of medium, so they split it into two to make it look like they had done more.
Okay, fair enough. Well,
Something like that. I don't know. I didn't mind it. It was an all right. It was an all right show. It just isn't essentially is essentially not what you would think a Friends spin-off would be about Joey.
the only thing I know really about the Joey spin off is it had the guy who plays um, Howard in Big Bang Theory. It was like one of his early roles.
Yeah, Sam Helberg. Yeah, see, I don't remember him being in it, but I know he was because I looked it up when I saw he was in Bang Bang. I was like, oh yeah, you are in it. I don't remember it, but
Yeah.
just
Oh,
shows you how unmemorable Joey is that I didn't remember him in it.
well, you have been in other stuff then. Cool. It was like one of those things.
Yeah, like I'd never heard of science. Obviously, I love Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
I need to catch up on Young Sheldon. I haven't watched the last series.
Season four. It wasn't that good in my eyes, but still worth a
Mm,
watch.
that's what I say. I need to just catch up and watch it, but I just haven't. But yeah, it's one of those things when you watch a show and you're like, I know you've been in something else, but I don't know what. So when I see when when obviously Big Bang took off, I actually looked up what else they'd all been in, and I was like, oh, right, I remember watching that. I remember watching that, but I don't remember you being in it.
My Bialik has been in the most stuff that I'm aware of. Having said that, I've never actually seen Blossom.
No, I've not. I've seen bits of it, mostly just clip stuff where it's used. And then she's in the let's see, a lot. I also saw him in other stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, you have been in other stuff. I know Jim Parsons was in a lot of stuff before Big Bang.
I only know of the stuff that he's done afterwards.
So a lot of the stuff he did before, because obviously when the Big Bang had a long break, obviously he went off and did theatre stuff because that's what
Yeah.
he was always doing. That's what he was also doing previous to the Big Bang.
What's that movie called where he was a purple alien?
I never remember names.
You know the one that I mean, though.
Yeah, I know the one you mean. I
Was
just can't remember the name of it.
was that one um like before or after Big Bang?
I think it might have been during.
Okay.
Because I know he went off and did some stuff. He was in the new Muppets movie.
Yeah, like the first.
Literally right at the end, right at the end for a bit.
He was in one of the song numbers in the Mirror as well.
Yeah, yeah, they all did other stuff. I haven't been watching much. I got bored and watched through all the Brooklyn Nine like the last month.
Oh, good God, how can you stand that show?
I
It's
like
all,
Andy Samberg.
I cannot get away with that show. Like, it just feels so fake and over the top and
Yeah,
not in a fun way.
it very much is, but in the same sense, I'm also watching it because it's so over the top.
Fair enough.
Like I like Andy Samberg stuff because obviously he used to do SNL. He was in Lonely Island, which was weird songs.
I've never watched SNL like as a full show. I've only ever seen random clips.
So yeah, I've mostly seen clips, but I like his stuff because I first found him through Lonely Island. I just heard one of their songs. And I was like, that's funny.
I've never even heard of it. So you'll have to.
You may have heard us. You may not know it's by them, but they've done a load of things. One of they did one of the most common ones because they've done weirdly a load of songs with Justin Timberlake as well, as you do.
Fair enough. So they so they
Most known of
they
that
could be fairly big
most
then.
they weren't. They did the most common ones are Dick in a Box,
Okay.
which is one they did with Justin Timberlake. Uh, they did. Um, have you ever heard the one about with Michael Bolton about Jack Sparrow?
Nope.
I need to send you some of these because they're funny.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, but he's got that one. They did one with a. They were actually quite big. They did one with Akon called "I Just Had Sex."
Okay.
Uh, there's one where they're basically on a boat, and literally the name of the song is "I'm on a boat."
Hang on. Is this the same people who do the I Love Trains thing?
No,
Okay, because it was sounding like it.
no, the I Love Train. I like trains. Is Little Deuce Deuce and uh, Tom Scar. No, the Lonely Island people are American. I'll send you some of their stuff because it's really some of the songs are really funny. They're
Okay.
piss takes because they're not designed as real songs.
Yeah. Well, that's fair
But
enough.
a load of them blew up, and actually that's how Andy Samberg got onto the SNL stuff, and then obviously into properly acting.
Cool. The only kind of comedy songs that I listened to was um, your favorite Martian, um,
Mm.
which was Ray William J- Johnson, um, who like nobody's heard of now. Um, but like he was fairly big in like early-ish YouTube days with equals three, which of course then he sold off and it like just died because it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
him anymore. Um, but yeah, um, those songs, well, most of those songs I actually quite liked. Um, and I actually bought them off of iTunes. One of the few times when I've actually used iTunes for that, rather than like just putting CDs through their system. But yeah, it
Yeah.
was quite fun. Then they kind of towards the end of that project, they just started doing covers, and I don't remember which song it was, but they done a Linkin Park cover, and I
Mm.
just didn't like it.
Yeah. I just oh, that's not Adam Levine. Yeah, because that Lonely Island one, one of the other songs is called YOLO, and they did it with Adam Levine. So as you do.
Yeah. Well, I think now's a good time to wrap this up, and I'll be back live next week with this with my sister because you're gonna be um at some convention. So
Yes, in Glasgow, so I will probably be drunk. Very.
huzzah! I hope you have fun.
Yeah, should be good.
Okay, well, yeah, I'll be back with this next week with my sister, and I'll be back at some point throughout the week to get the rest of Tekken 4 done, and I don't think I have much left to do with that. Like, I've got one more character to get, and I think I'm done. But yeah, anyway, that's gonna be it for this week, and I'll see you next week for much of the same random geekiness. Bye, everyone.
Blech.